Hello and good evening. Welcome to the Scottish Football Show, powered by the Rangers Rabble podcast. Matchday 26. What a weekend in the Scottish Premiership. We have new leaders, and it's the famous RFC, which I'm sure we'll talk about more as the podcast goes on. Obviously, as well, congratulations to the women before we start, because they're top of the league as well. I think they had a draw against Celtic, which I was checking out before I came on air. So a really, really good weekend if you're of the Rangers persuasion. If you're not, then welcome along. We are going to go through the 5 fixtures that were played on Saturday. And if you're a St Johnstone fan, just stay in and have a wee bit of relax and enjoy it. Delighted to say I'm joined by Connor and Kerr. Gentlemen, how are we? Connor?
Aye, absolutely brilliant. As you say, it could not have been a better weekend. We're on top of the league. The lassies have kept on top, although missed. No, all in all, a great weekend. And to be fair, Outway just doesn't go on top. I think it's been a pretty stellar weekend.
Oh, he's going to be brutal tonight, isn't he? Okay, I'll come to you. How are you, mate? All right, nice weekend of it.
I had a good weekend. Well, what was it? A gig last night. I was in Edinburgh last night. Then I come back to the day. But all the football I've watched has been good, so I'm happy with it.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Connor, are you going to last the 60 minutes or so here? We're worrying for you.
No, I'll be fine.
Excellent.
That's my one for the show. So we should be fine for here on out.
Okay, well, it's fines after that, okay? Right then, listen, I've got a decent wee running order, so as Connor said, loads and loads to talk about, but we've got to start in the East End of Glasgow yesterday afternoon, Celtic versus Kilmarnock. I think we were all hoping for it. Did we really expect it, Connor?
I wouldn't say I expected it, but I probably wasn't that surprised, if I'm being honest with you, because Kilmarnock have been playing really well this season. And obviously, listen, we'll touch on Celtic in a minute, but Kilmarnock deserve a lot of credit because they've been absolutely fearless this season, particularly in the games against both sides of the Old Firm. That's 4 points they've taken for Celtic in the league. Dumped them out of the League Cup. They've taken 3 points for us earlier in the season as well, in the first game at Rugby Park. So I wasn't surprised that Kelly approached it the way they did and that they kept plugging in there. And, as you say, you were kind of living in hope more than anything else, but the longer the game's gone on and it's still 1-0, you're just thinking, this, there's every chance a goal can happen here. Motherwell done a similar thing not too long ago when they went there and it was only 1-0 and they got a chance and took it. And that's what Kelly did yesterday. And having seen the highlights, I tell you what, they could have went on and won that game because they had a real good chance. The irony being that it was Greg Stewart of all people, and if he'd have scored in that situation, that would have just been something else. But no, I think that a lot of credit to Kilmarnock that as much as I wasn't expecting it, it didn't totally surprise me that they went there and took a point. And that's a warning for us because we're going there in 2 weeks and we'll have the same hard task to go and deal with as well. But no, they're flying right now as far as I'm concerned.
Kerr, let's not beat around the bush. Celtic started okay in the game by the look of it. Louis Palmer was involved. I think Lewis Mayo had a really good game by all accounts. Him and Will Dennis managed to thwart him. And then Kyogo gets in and puts them 1-0 up. And at that point, I'm watching it on the video printer thinking that's going to be a routine afternoon for them there.
He did once Kyogo scored, you thought they're going to go on and win it. Not comfortable, but they're going to go on and win it because basically we're always expecting that. But I've only seen the highlights today and listen, Celtic did a lot of the ball compared to Kilmarnock, but the chances were fairly even on both sides. Joe Hart would have got a good saves, Dennis would have got a good saves. Kelly probably had the better chances to be fair, but it's no surprise Kilmarnock's went there because Kilmarnock's played well against. They play well against us, they play well against Celtic, they play well against Aberdeen. They keep it up the game for the bigger teams. And I'm not saying that disrespectfully because when they play other teams at the bottom, they seem to struggle themselves. So I don't know if it's the players that got away Derek sets his stall out because he sets his stall out in a shape where they're hard to break down, but he can hit you with the players they've got on the break, whereas when he's got more of the ball, then they struggle more. So listen, it was a well-deserved point for them. And like I said to you before I come on the show, so much is made about this Celtic dropping 2 points. I mean, there's still 12 games to go. we're happy sitting here, but anything can happen in football. We've had our fingers pumped so many times, and I'm just going to keep repeating what the manager keeps repeating. Take it a game at a time, and that's what I'm doing. Taking it one game at a time.
Connor, we'll delve a little bit deeper into the game itself. Kyogo scores, and then Donnelly forces a really good save from Joe Hart. But following that, Sean Watkins penalty for you. What did you make of that incident?
I mean, I must admit that I've kind of rewatched it a couple of times because it's very difficult to tell. I do think they probably just about got that one right, because I do think Welsh does just about get a toe to the ball first. I'm not sure it's a pen. Look, it's the kind of line where you take a risk. I think any defender, ideally, you don't want to be sliding in with that in the box, because if you're slightly off, mistime that, the penalty can give. And even in a situation like that, VR could easily have looked at that and says, "Yep, penalty kick." So he kind of got away with it to a degree, but I don't personally have an issue with that particular VR decision at the weekend. I think probably just about right.
Just staying with you, Connor, on this, because the Celtic support maybe got a bit excited about Adam Ida. I felt that he was okay in glimpses, but not really offering too much different to what they already have, in the sense of that's the only really business they done in January. He's a header that he should probably score. I'm calling it a header. I don't know if he actually touches the ball, but he has a chance that he should probably at least spot the goalkeeper.
Aye, I mean, look, the thing with Adam Ida, obviously he's come in, as you say, and I know, because I've got people who I know who are Celtic fans, and they say the same thing, that he's maybe slightly underwhelmed with the business they done in January, and I think it was just him and Nicholas Kuhn, I think they brought in. I think he should have done better with that chance. The challenge is that, other than the two penalties that he scored against Hibs, which, fair play to him, he took them well, and you've still got to score the penalties, when you get them. I've not really seen much from him out with that, and I think maybe it's just a case of I don't think he's fully up to speed with it yet, in terms of the way that Celtic obviously want to play. And I think yesterday it was a bit of a strange setup when you seen the lineups and the formations, because he kind of had Kyogo was playing sort of off the back of him, almost in a kind of number 10 type of role, which was, I must say, did raise an eyebrow for me when I seen it, because I don't think in the time he's been there under Postecoglou I've actually seen Kyogo play that role. So I don't know, it's one of those ones that you get chances like that in games, and you've got to take them, really, but he didn't. And I'm yet to be convinced that he's, a solution for them right now, because when you've got him there not really firing yet, Kyogo's hit and miss just now, I would say. He gets some good games, some others, annoyingly for us, the two best games he's had this season just happen to have been against us. But he just seems to be, the two striking options right now just seem to be very, very quiet for Celtic. I know Kyogo scored yesterday, and it was a decent goal, but no, Ida doesn't convince me at all. I mean, there's a reason if he's at Norwich City he couldn't get a game there and he's had to go on loan. I think that tells its own story.
No, I think you couldn't be far off that. Kara, I just wanted to highlight Joe Hart, because I think he's took a bit of a gubbing this season from City supporters who probably want him out in the summer. Kept him in the game in points, a double save from Donnelly, won the first half, similar chance in the second half. Could he do better with the goal, though? Watson's header?
I don't know. I think he expects your defenders to put a better challenge, but I think the defenders looking for the foul too much. That's why I know it went to VR, but it was never a foul. I think he's looking for the foul rather than challenging, maybe getting a foul. And listen, Joe Hart, I said it before, he's not a Joe Hart we all know played in the Premiership. He's not that type of, but he's still a decent keeper for this level up here. In the last few games, he's saved him quite a lot, but he still gets criticised. I think he's an easy target. I think he is. It's like, well, Joe Hart's not good enough. He's trapped the ball at his feet. Fair enough, but he's paid to save the ball. And Against Aberdeen, he pulled out 2 good saves. Hibs was the same, a couple of saves, and then yesterday a couple of saves. So was it for him to have been behind further in the league? Do you know what I mean? So I have to give him some credit. I think Joe Hart's issue. I don't think he's the greatest keeper at the moment because we know he's at Al McGregor. He's starting towards these years where he's maybe starting to maybe slow down and maybe thinking of retiring soon. But I think they've got bigger issues than Joe Hart, to be honest with you.
And Keir, sticking with you, David Watson comes off the bench. Now we, in the half season awards show here on the Scottish Football Show, bigged up this young lad, and I dare say I still think he's going to go on and get young player of the year, but he comes off the bench and puts that away with aplomb.
Yeah, he does, and you can see he's very forward thinking. Anyway, he plays mid left part, but he likes to get forward and he can finish as well. And that was a good header he took because he was the only player put in the box to kind of receive that cross, and I think it was it Boy Fraser Murray to put it in, I'm not sure, but I think, and he's a good header. The defender should have done a lot better, but he never. But Watson's eyes were just on the ball, and he knew where he was going to put it, and it was a good goal. And listen, I'm delighted for him because, like you said, we all bummed him up, so it's good to see that. And listen, maybe one day he'll be playing for us. You never know.
Derek McInnes, sorry, he'll be sitting there just counting the pennies, won't he? Because he knows he's got a right player there. Connor, I know you want to jump in here because obviously you've got issue with how long it took to actually, let this goal stand.
Look, I understand. VAR will check every goal, and as they should. That's the correct process. You've got to make sure that the referee hasn't maybe missed something that would lead to a reason why the goal shouldn't stand. But I just felt with that one, that should have took seconds. It took, I think it was about 2 or 3 minutes to, just we were waiting. It could have took 20, 30 seconds because it's clearly not a foul. Bernabei is as weak as piss water in trying to challenge for it. That's the problem. He's just sort of stood there. He's got no awareness of anything that's going on behind him. David Watson does a slight brush in the jersey. It doesn't constitute a push at all. Because to me, if you're going to disallow goals for that, we might as well be playing netball. Then there can't be contact anywhere because it just wasn't a foul. And I couldn't quite understand why it took that long for them to come to that conclusion, because it's not like it's a difficult one where there's a lot of bodies in the way, there's a lot of players and you've got to check different things. That's fairly simple. That's the kind of ones you see most goals that are scored. There's a wee check you're on in the background, but it's literally, I know that's fine, on you go. That's how quick that should be. So I just think the processes, and I know there's a few VAR stinkers that we will cover later on, but the process in that aspect has to be quicker and has to be better. And to be fair, I'd say the same for the day as well. I don't see why it took 4 minutes to award our first penalty either in that aspect. So I think they just need to be quicker.
Hopefully, we see some improvement in the next season, but I won't hold my breath, as they say. I just want to sort of finish up on this game, Kev, by talking about the manager, Brendan Rodgers. Now, in his post match, he rolled out the line. I take responsibility for the performance. Now, shades this at Barry Robson in his last days at Aberdeen. There, it's just not going right for him, is it? Now, we don't want it to, albeit that, but we've got to talk about, it's the Scottish Football Show after all. So what's changed from his first tenure to this tenure now? Is it him himself, or is it the club, or what do you think the issue is?
I don't think his squad's as strong as it was before. I think we're stronger than we were before. And I think the problem with Brendan Rodgers is he thinks he's a better manager than he actually is. We all know, you can see he won a treble, fair enough, but we were awful. We were totally awful. Anybody could beat us back a few seasons ago. But you seen his time in Liverpool, showing the league never. Leicester, I know he won the cup, but the way he left him, during a disaster case of the way he left him, and he only really came back up here because I think he didn't have many other options. But I think deep down he thought he was going to come back up here and carry on like he did previously and won a couple more trophies and then go back down to England and get another cushy job. That's just my opinion, but every manager has a lifespan and I think he has to change something. But I think the problem with Brendan Rodgers is he's egotistic, isn't he? He's an egomaniac and he loves himself too much, and I think the players are starting to see through that. Plus, the style of play he's got doesn't suit some of their players to what they were playing. So I think he has to either switch where they're playing or it's just going to fester. It's going to get worse. And one what football fans are like. Doesn't matter who you support. A few bad results, they start getting itchy feet. They start shouting. They start throwing. They start fighting. And there's been a few incidents this weekend, but I think, as we've seen before, their fans aren't happy when they draw them and lose. So I think he's going to get a lot more criticism. And listen, the title's not over by any matter of means. They could drop points, they can drop more points, they can beat us, we can beat them. There's still 12 games to go, so I think it's going to be close. Hopefully, we get it over the line and we're all sitting here, big smiles on our face. But nobody's, and I'm not saying it's finished, but some of their fans are saying the title's finished. And I think it's probably because they've won so easily in the last few seasons, and they're starting to get a challenge and they don't like it because they think, like the manager, I said it, very self-entitlement comes in and they think you're Celtic and no matter who you are, we should win everything and nobody should even beat us in our main draws.
Just get the feeling that those, ill-fated words he spoke about when he was appointed, we'll see you back here in May, just might come back and bite him. Connor, I'll just come to you quick on Kilmarnock, because the race for fourth is getting quite exciting. Actually, you look at Dundee sort of 5 points behind. I'd certainly say they're in with a shout. We'll come on to them later on in the show. But Derek McInnes, they're not going to catch Hearts, are pretty much just playing against themselves at the minute. It looks like they're just going to sort of come out, would probably be the favourites for fourth at the minute.
I would say so. It's a snip and tuck. Obviously, as you say, Dundee have moved within 5 points to them. You've got St Mirren in there as well, who are only a few points off. So it is tight, and it's it's the importance of getting results, particularly when those games come up. I think post-split, those are going to be real massive fixtures because the gap won't be much different to what it is now. It's the old adage they talk about 6 pointers. They'll be huge games. But Kilmarnock, you can't help but be impressed with what Derek McInnes has done, because he took over a team that had been toiling a wee bit in the Championship. They hadn't got the recruitment right, either in the dugout or on the field, really. Tommy Wright, for me, I like Tommy Wright. I think he's a decent manager for what he done at St Johnstone, but it just clearly wasn't the right fit, if you will. It didn't work out for him there, and they had to then go and build again. But he came in and done a brilliant job, gets them back into the league. And last season, to be fair to him, what I like about him is he's been very honest the whole way through. He said at the very start of last season that the objective for last season was to stay in the league and then build for there. That was always the plan, because they were never going to come back and just be the Steve Clarke Kilmarnock again. It was going to take time, but that's what he's built now. Teams do not look forward to playing Kilmarnock at this moment in time, because they know they're a banana skin for anybody. And that's what he's done. Rugby Park in particular, he's made that a right fortress. There's no many teams that went there and took points for them. There's a few, but it's not many. And even in those games, there's been a wee bit of luck here or there that's been against them. So I just think, fair play to him. I think if it wasn't for the fact that you've got Hearts absolutely just mooring right now. It sounds funny to say, but I tell you what, a few more drop points here and there for us or them, Hearts will be in a chase for second. You know what I mean? Because they're only about 10 or 11 points off second right now.
11 points, yeah.
Yeah, and 13 points off top, which is incredible. They're closer to the top of the league than 34th. And they've got to play both sides of the Old Firm coming up and all. So that'll be interesting to see. But I think if it wasn't for that aspect, you'd have Derek McInnes as a strong contender for manager of the season if he can get them that fourth spot.
Okie dokie. We will go from the top straight to the bottom, because I want to talk about Dave Martindale's Livingston finally getting the monkey off the back care. Showed good signs in the cup last week at Thistle, coming back for 2-0 down and taking that in extra time and getting that winner. And then this weekend again, a bit more resilient, and actually they look now like they've got a striker who can actually put the ball in the back of the net in Teddy Yengi.
They have, yeah. I mean, I don't know how we blame him for letting the ball loose, or maybe he was sighted with his shot, but I can make out in my fannies, the boy James Scott had one up at our end for St Mirren. He put it over the bar, didn't he? Very similar. So, listen, they got the 3 points. They got a bit of luck as well. I think St Mirren missed so many chances. They controlled most of the game. According to looking at the highlights, I thought they should have had a couple, but they never. And that's what happens. You don't put the ball in the net. That big Genghis come in, he scores a goal, and Livingston's get 3 points. And that's going to give them the world a good. I think beating Thistle last week after being 2 down, it's gave them a lot of confidence, and it's gave maybe Martindale more confidence, more belief in this group of guys. It's gave these guys when you know yourself, if you constantly get beat every week, it starts to play in your mind, and it's hard to get out of that streak. But that one last week against Thistles, they broke that streak, and I think maybe we can transfer that into the league, and they have. And like you say, they get 3 points. They were lucky, but sometimes they've not had a lot of luck this season. So they got a bit yesterday. But I like to say, before you bring Connor in, I thought the St fans have been very harsh on Robinson. Shouting abuse at him at the end of the game, I think that's poor. And like I said, the Hull fans are the same, but St Mirren have been punching above their weight this season. The way they've been playing really good football. I know a lot of their fans are thinking, looking toward European next season, stuff like that, but being in the top 6 is a good level for St Mirren, because other than the money they've got and the players they've got. So I think the abuse he's getting off some of the fans is poor. And it wouldn't surprise me if another job comes up, if maybe Warnock leaves Aberdeen in the season, Aberdeen come close. Listen, I don't know, but you can't be giving a guy that who's done really well for you this season. Do you know what I mean? Because that season one of the favourites to go down, and they're sitting 5th.
Kerry, he looked hot as well. He looked really hot and angry. So much so he obviously didn't do the post-match.
No, they never played bad. They just couldn't finish.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all seen games like that where you go and watch your team and maybe miss 7, 8, 10 chances. And our team's up apart and next one, and you think, it's just another day. And I think it's brutal. But that's what football fans are like. They love it when you're winning, but as soon as you get beat, some people just can't take it. They take it personally because you've lost a game of football. I mean, at the end of the day, it's only a sport, and it's something we all love. We all live and breathe it. But at the end of the day, it's no life or death. So, and I think it's hard. I think it's harsh on him. I agree with you. I think it did look cut, and I wouldn't be surprised if it continues and maybe seek pastures new at the end of the season.
Connor, I was going to save that chat till the end, but Kerr's brought up now, so we may as well just deal with it while it's here. The O'Connell, the assistant, said, it's 1 out of 100 that have obviously, had their piece at the end of the game. He says they always go over at the end and sort of celebrate or commend the fans for coming and travelling with a win, lose or draw. But yes, Stevie Robinson did look really angry and annoyed at whatever was said. It looked like an exchange with one individual, to be honest. But I watched it back a couple of times on Sports Scene. Obviously, can't see what's being said. I'm not a lip reader, as some are. But yeah, he just looked caught up. And as Kerr says there, they're in a great position, still in that fight for 4th position. And it just was a case of they couldn't put their chances away on the day.
Absolutely. That was obviously the big Achilles heel. They did a similar thing last week in the Cup, where they had plenty of chances in that game as well. That had they taken one of them, could have been different. But sometimes, it's like Kerr said, you get games like that, and I think the way St Mirren started the season, right? We were on here the first 8, 9, 10 weeks of the season, ranting and raving about them because they'd got off to an unbelievable start. They were unbeaten, I think, the first 8. At one point, they actually did get to the top of the table, albeit briefly. And I think when they had such a good start, and then there has been wee stumbles here and there in the middle, and there's been 1 or 2 sort of off performances. I don't know if that good start kind of lured some of the St Mirren fans into a sort of false sense of belief that they were going to be more than just top 6. They were going to be contending for 3rd spot. They were going to be looking at, potentially Conference League group stage football next season, which is obviously what you get for finishing 3rd. But, you have to be realistic. Right now, they're absolutely in the mix for that 4th spot. And that in itself is still a European spot. That still gets you qualification football. And for me, I don't see much to be annoyed with. Look, you'd be disappointed with yesterday, absolutely. You're playing a Livi team who, up until they beat Partick Thistle last week, hadn't won in, 17, 18 games. But the reality is, and it's unfortunate that it happened to be St Mirren, but those runs do come to an end. Eventually, Livingston were going to beat somebody by hook or by crook. It's just the nature of the beast. It just so happens that yesterday it was St Mirren. And I mean, listen, they had the penalty and stuff like that to get back into that they missed it. It was just an unlucky day. The only thing I would say, if I was Stephen Robinson, I don't think he needed to engage with it. I think he could have just clapped and walked away. I don't think he actually had to enter that heated exchange, because that's not the first time I've seen a manager do that with someone, by the way. I remember a few years ago, I'm pretty sure it was Jack Ross when they won the championship, and he had a right melee, proper argument with a couple of the fans in the crowd. Of course,
it's the fault you can't take them anywhere.
That's exactly it. But so they're obviously a passionate bunch, but sometimes as a manager, you just kind of have to take your pound and clap them and say, look, bad day office, thanks for the support, and then you just move on. Because you can't engage with every idiot that's annoyed because you didn't win a game of football. You've been there all day.
Listen, sting with you, Connor, just on Martindale's reaction. I know Robert Grant's just popped it into the chat as well, but he was absolutely delighted at the end. Really, it's great to see him with a wee smile on his face, because he's been breaking my heart all season. I love to be Martindale. And you look at the table now, they're breathing down counties next. They're up in Dingwall on Saturday. They've got to go up there and get the 3 points, because obviously County still have that game in hand.
Yeah, they absolutely do. It'll be a huge game that coming up, and if David Martindale can get them to go up there and get 3 points, all of a sudden they're back in the fight. We've had them written off most of the season, because it has looked like this is the year. That this is them done. And when they were on that run as well, that you didn't see how they were going to recover it. Of course, what you forget is that it is Livingston, and under David Martindale, a bit like Hamilton a few years ago when they won the league, they just seemed to have seasons where they were awful all season, but somehow, by a miracle, managed to cling on. And they might do that, Livy. I think what's helped them is how poor Ross County's been. I think Ross County bringing in Derek Adams clearly was a gift to Livingston, because they just couldn't get going. So, it's good to see them having a bit of fight left in them again, and you hope they can pick up their form and go and put together a couple of wee results and make a fist of it. You know what I mean? Because I think for everything that David Martindale's done with that club in the last couple of years that he's been there, and the fact that they had I'm pretty sure it was one of the seasons they had a top 6 finish as well, which was incredible. It would have been a shame, I still think they'll probably go down, but it would have been a real shame to see them just go down with a whimper and with no fight at all and just be buried, particularly with a county team in front of them right now, and a St Johnstone team who are not great either. They can be caught back. So again, it's an interesting one to watch. It's very, very tight for those spaces right now.
I'm going to put my neck in the chopping board. If they win in Dingwall next week, I think Livy will stay up. There you go, Davey. And that's just for you. Okie dokie. We'll move on to another game up at Pittodrie. Nick Montgomery involved in yet another 2-2 draw here. This guy seems to live for a Desmond.
They're a very attacking side, Tabs, aren't they? They've all said that. They play good football, but they're very open at the back. And on the highlights, it was a decent game. Any one or two of them could have won it. And I know Warnock was moaning and complaining that with VAR stuff like that, but I thought it was quite a decent game. Both sides had chances. Both teams could have scored more, but that's what you get with Hibs defence. Hibs defensively aren't great, but going forward, they're decent because that's the way he sets his shape out. And we spoke about Montgomery before. He doesn't seem to be changing much. I think it's since he played Celtic, they were very unlucky to get beat because of the 2 penalties. They've seemed to be a bit more disciplined, but they're still very open. And it's the way he wants to play football. Listen, it's great for us watching it, but I don't sure if you're a Hibs fan you'd enjoy that, because no matter how you score a goal, you think they're going to concede one shortly. And that's the way it seems to be.
Tell you what, I know I've said that last week and the week before, but I really like the look of my leader. He's involved again in the first goal, gets it through to Boyle, who gets a nice touch and finish. I think he's scored a couple in the Asian Cup. Martin Boyle's come back, he scored one in Inverness, he's got another one the weekend, so he's in a decent wee bit of form. But I can see the big man up there, he's waiting for me to come to him there about the VAR. So I'll quickly talk about, obviously, Devlin responding quickly to Majowski's shot to make it one apiece. Then, Connor, the VAR starts. We'll start with that handball, can we? If we can.
I mean, I'm no even being funny when I say this. David Dickinson needs to be sacked. The guy needs to be sacked. Genuinely, because how
strong language, Connor.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, but that's a level of incompetence that just cannot be accepted at the top flight of our game. And the problem with Scottish football is, down south, when absolute howlers like that happen, you do hear for the PGMOL, you do hear for Howard Webb. There's an explanation, they go, listen, they got this wrong because of whatever reason, that's fine. You get none of that up here. Crawford Allen just hushes it up, brushes it up the cap like it never happened. But that's one of the worst decisions, both. But that in particular, for me, there's nobody anywhere near. Who was it again? Devlin, I think it was.
Devlin.
There's nobody anywhere near him, right? So there's no excuse for not being able to see it. And you can see that he's jumped, misjudged where the ball's going, and he puts his arm out. I mean, to me, it's a deliberate handball. It's not even just a handball. He's moved his arm towards the ball, hits him maybe in the forearm. For the ref to miss it on field, I do think is slightly unforgivable, or at least these linesmen. However, I can understand that a wee bit more because when it happens that quick, it's come off him, and he's almost quite clever as well because he's got the red Under Armour on, which almost blends with the shirt, so he might not even see that it's. So I can see that, but how has David Dickinson looked at that? On him, with everything he's got at his disposal, and not sent the referee over to the screen to change that decision. I cannot fathom how that's happened, and it's unfortunate that because it's Hibs Aberdeen, not much.
Oh, he said he's setting yellow card. Ken, I'll come to you just on the Majowski Marshall incident. Now, you mentioned Neil Warnock earlier on. He'd said in his post-match that it was manslaughter. That's how he described it. How did you see that one? You're on mute, mate. You need to come off mute.
They probably should have went for me, but listen, as we know, everybody talks about VAR, but it's people who are controlling VAR on that day. Some of them have got the balls to make the call, but some of them haven't. We've seen it today. We've seen it in other games where the referee's actually looking for an excuse to go to the screen or looking for VAR and to take over, and then VAR thinking, I don't want to make that call, so they send the ref to the screen. It's like nobody wants to make the call, so they're looking for a reason either to give it or not give it. And I'm not a big fan of VAR. I prefer just the game being played, and if there's mistakes made, because VAR's meant to help. But as we all said at the start, VAR's come in, and if it's operated properly, it does help. But when you get clowns operating it, it's not going to help. It just makes matters worse. But Warnock had a point.
Well, just to jump in on your point, that is part of it, isn't it? The feeling that we're getting is referees are just thinking, well, if I don't get it, somebody else will. Do you know what I mean? And that seems to be part of the culture at the minute, especially with referees, and that seems to be feeding into the problem, Kerr.
It does. You can see them listening in their ear, don't they? So they're hesitating to make a special penalty, and then they're like, right, we're getting a check, and they're like, shit, I need to go and review this on the screen. Basically, that's what they're saying. And then it's up to them, did they decide to go with the call they made at the start, or did they overturn it? Because VAR said them to look at it, because the guys who are saying them to look at it, they can't make a decision. So they're leaving it back in the referee's hands. But if he can make a decision at the start, does he overrule himself or does he stick? And we've all seen different instances where sometimes he sticks and other times he overrules. So it's very difficult. I mean, it's been brought in to help, but unless you get proper people doing it, people not afraid. And Scottish footballs, I know it doesn't work a lot of football all across the UK and Europe, but I think up here there's a scrutiny involved in it, and a lot of referees are scared to make calls for backlash, for intimidation, for various stuff, because we've seen it happen up here. So it's hard on them as well. But It's going to get worse before it gets better. I'll tell you that.
Because see, the thing is, okay, when you talk about backlash and all that, right? Here, it's Hibs Aberdeen. What backlash is David Dickinson and VR worried about if he's at the referee in the park? I mean, it would still have been wrong if it was Rangers or Celtic, but I can get it there because there's a different pressure that gets put on you, and you're right under the microscope there. But if you can't handle the pressure in Aberdeen Hibs game, because that handball's a joke, and then after that, I mean, David Marshall comes out, and I'm Keepers Union, as you know, but Tyson Fury would have been proud of that. No, that was an absolute haymaker. He's completely, missed the ball, and he's just hooked Miowski. Some people in the comments are suggesting maybe it could have been sent after it, but you could argue it's dangerous play. But it's a stonewall penalty kick, and my genuinely, and this is how cynical I've become, it. I actually think they didn't give that one because they knew how much of a mistake they had made with the first one. I think they've realised they made an arse with the first one, so they've bottled the second one almost to kind of go, well, there we go, we've given you both a terrible decision each, so that sort of evens up the score.
So basically you're saying VAR is helping referees referee a game the way they want to referee it and not going with the rules?
Well, in effect, because the problem is referees on the park, as you said, right, I do agree with the fact they have to make a decision. And what we've seen today, for example, in the Rangers and Johnston game, the referee didn't make any decision for the first penalty call. He looked at his linesman as if, you're going to make a decision here. And then VAR has to step in. Right. So referees have to be brave to do that. But again, I go back to it. If they've not got the materials to handle the pressure of a Hibs Aberdeen game, then they shouldn't be refereeing in the top flight. I know what you say about, trained and all the rest of it and these things, but to me, anybody with two eyeballs in their head could see that those were the most stonewall penalties you're ever going to. I mean, how many handballs have we come on here and debated because it's been ridiculous that they've been given as penalty kicks?
Yeah,
and then somebody deliberately saves the ball and it's not given from the clearest thing ever. I mean, this is why people actually go after a lot about VAR. It's a joke, and obviously the refs on the park as well.
Oh yes, you're finished there, Connor. Listen, if people just joining, you've not tuned into the gloves are off. I am not Johnny Nelson. This is the Scottish Football Show. Talk of Tyson Fury and haymakers there at one point. Right, okie dokie. Just back to the football then quickly, Keir, because actually I wanted to touch on Clarkson. I thought he had a decent game. I thought he's played as well as he's played for a few weeks actually. Seemed to be a bit more himself. They're not going front to back as much. They seem to be involved in midfield a little bit more. Him and Duke are involved, and then McGrath manages to sort of poke home in the box to give Aberdeen a 2-1 advantage.
I thought it was a good goal from McGrath. I thought he done well because he took a second, just he didn't move. But it had defenders move, and I gave him that split second to put it through them. So it was really, really composed. But I think Warnock's trying to play a slightly different way. He's brought back Duke in, hasn't he? And it's given him a wee bit more confidence because when Duke's in form, he's a decent player. We've all said that before. They can't always rely on Mosky up front. I know he scores goals, but a lot of teams know that and they might be paying more attention to him. So they'll need goals for other areas of the pitch. And I think that's what Warnock's trying to do. And we all know Clarkson's a good player, but he does seem to be in and out of games recently. But Warnock, listen, I know Neil Warnock's old. We all know he's been about football that long, but you'll get him running through a brick wall for him. And that's all you can really want as a manager. And Aberdeen aren't a great team, but I'm not a bad side either. I think you'll get more points than Barry Dobson will if he was still there.
And he's brought in Junior Hoylett as well. That's a good bit of experience as well as a bit of quality.
I think he signed him before, hasn't he? So he's just going for somebody who knows he's free, he's not going to cost anything, probably not cost much wages either. He's a decent player in his day. I know I think he was released for Vancouver Whitecaps, but he was at Reading before that. We all know he was at QPR and he was decent. We'll see what he brings, but it's a wee bit more experience for Aberdeen and somebody else he can call on if they're struggling.
Connor, just on the Hibs equaliser, does Devlin get his just desserts, as you say?
Well, I mean, I guess you could probably argue that, aye. Actually, I thought, I must admit that it was a great finish, I must say. I thought, a lot about the Hibs equaliser was really good football. It's a right good ball over the top. I think they timed the run perfectly as well to stay onside both of them. And in the finish, I know he's sort of closer range, but he's caught that flush first time volley, and he's put it into the corner, which is you cannot ask for more than that. And it was probably no more than Hibs would have deserved at that time. And I mean, listen, Devlin's, I don't dislike Devlin. I think he is a decent defender. I think he deserved to get his move away from Livingston to Aberdeen, obviously the bigger club. I think he did deserve that. But I just think sometimes he makes some truly stupid decisions that you just go, why have you done that? I've seen him fly into a few tackles. The handball, obviously, that he got away with there. And sometimes it's a bit like it's needless because he's a good enough player that he doesn't need to do that. So that he just frustrates me. But with that goal, he certainly would say what he's just deserves, and so did Hibs. They really didn't. I'm sure they'll have wanted to win the game, but I think for them, you go away from home to Pittodrie and you pick up a point. I don't think it's a bad point for them because they've been very stop-start recently.
But is the trouble, Connor, that that's what all they seem to be doing is just picking up the odd point? They're not actually going out and consistently getting 2 or 3 wins back to back. I mean, you look at the City rivals, Hearts, so they've won 6 on the bounce. They need to be getting that sort of form if they want to be, sitting in the top 6 and looking like the side that they want to be.
Of course they do. Listen, the metric for Hibs is always going to be what Hearts is doing. It's a bit like us with Celtic. Whatever else happens, you've got to finish above them. You've got to beat them. You've got to, for us, it's win the league. For them, it's finish above them in that third spot. And that's, so they'll be, really frustrated that Hearts have miles in front of them this season. Pretty sure, I think, in a few weeks' time, there is an Edinburgh derby on the horizon again, I'm pretty sure, in mid-March, I want to say. So that'll be interesting. So certainly they've not lived up to that, but they need stability, Hibs. And I think they've chopped and changed managers a couple of times in the last, couple of years, and it's no working for them because I personally don't think they're making the right appointments. I don't have anything against Nick Montgomery, and I like the style of football that he wants to play, but he just isn't inspiring for me as a manager. I don't see he's going to be the guy that will turn it around for Hibs and will get them on a level where they can start competing with Hearts again. Because let's be honest, and I hate saying this, but I don't think it's a stretch to say that the last time Hibs were properly neck and neck with Hearts and were properly competing, it was under Neil Lennon. And his stint before it did go a bit wrong, but that first proper period under him, that's when they were really, really competitive. Since then, it's been very stop-start. So I think they could be doing with getting their affairs in order a bit more and get their appointments right and then start doing the on-field stuff better.
Nice start actually before the game saying that Neil Warnock had handed Nick Montgomery's debut 17 years ago. I quite like that. I'm sure they said that she had a glass of red at full time. Okay, then we'll draw a line under that. We'll head to Tynecastle Care, where again, it's like turning your light on, isn't it? Lauren Shanklin scores a goal. It's just becoming that predictable. There's just no stopping this guy. 25 goals this season.
No, I know, and I think that's why we were all desperate for Rangers to say, I know it's war under the bridge now, but I think if we could call on him every week, I think the league would be a lot closer. As in, we were getting hand on it, and we've not got him. But you can see what he brings to the party. Hearts, put the ball in the box. Yeah, so if he gets on the end there, he'll score a goal. And he missed a couple, didn't he? But the header was superb. Great header down into the corner, and the keeper, Liam Kelly, dived after it into there, I think. But it's his overall play, Lawrence. He brings others into games. He drops back. His awareness is superb, but he's very strong. He's a lot stronger than people think he is. And listen, I think he's a great player. I think he's matured really, really well. And he's just been like a poacher, people call him. But you could probably say he's like a complete centre forward at this moment in time that he's playing.
Oh, he's way more than a poacher. He is involved in everything. He's outside the box. He's link-up play. Him and Alan Forrest seem to have a really, really good understanding. another player, Connor, who I think's come onto a real game the last couple of weeks is Alan Forrest, signed a new contract. I mean, I might be pushing the boat out here, but he might be thinking, can I get in to Steve Clarke's plans now? Is there any chance at all? Because he's really playing ever so well. So, but yeah, certainly just in terms of Shankland, there's nobody better than him at this moment in time.
No, it's actually frightening the form he's on right now. For me, he'll be getting that golden boot this season at a canter. He will. I don't think since John Robertson, Hearts have had a player that's scored 30 goals for them in one season. He's only, I think, 4 off that now. I think 5 in all competitions for Hearts. That's 25 goals this season. That's incredible. And the frightening thing is, I kind of joked about it earlier, but see if they'd get after a slightly better start of the season, they'd be in a title race because of Lawrence Shankland and the goals he's scoring. Because he's just top class. And the fact they kept a hold of him in January, for me, that was always the crucial moment for Hearts. I think keeping him was always going to be the thing that was going to pretty much seal that third spot for them. And I'm telling you now, if anybody out with the old firm can go and win the Scottish Cup this season, it will be Hearts, because he could fire into that trophy, no problem at all with the goals he's got in him. And, it's not even as if this is a guy who was kind of a bit maligned in his time at Aberdeen, didn't really work out for them for one reason or another. Seems to be a common theme with that club, right enough. He then takes
You're on fire tonight.
He then takes a step back, which is a brave thing to do. Goes and rebuilds himself. I think he went abroad for a bit, then he was at Ayr, and that's when he started getting noticed again because of how well he was doing there. And obviously Dundee United pick him up and knew where he is. For me, Hearts are going to be absolutely, seeing the pound signs just toting up and up and up the more goals he's scoring. Because come the summer, I think just objectively, Hearts could quite easily go and claim 7 or 8 million quid for him in the summer with the amount of goals he scored. If he keeps this form up. I know you're shaking your head, Keir, but see he gets another 10, 15 goals to the end of the season. He ends up finishing this season.
He's only got 12 months left of contract come the summer. So if he can sit to January and sign for something, a free contract for nothing, so Hearts will have to take probably what best offer they get. If they say no, you can end up with nothing. That's the issue. That's the dilemma they've got. Understand, if he 2 or 3 years, I would agree with you. Because he's refused to sign that deal, he's got 12 months left. So he can sit to summer and go wherever he wants, speak to clubs and go. Or Hearts could say, listen, if they're getting 4 or 5, let's take it, because I'm not going to, I will get nothing at the end of the season.
See the big picture for Lawrence Shankland personally is obviously it's probably his last chance at a big contract. However, he's got to weigh that up with how happy he is, where he is at the moment. Is he going to be, let's just say he doesn't go to the Old Firm, right? We're all hoping he might go to Rangers. We certainly don't want him to go elsewhere in Scotland. No. But let's just say he goes down to, I don't know, a Sunderland or a Birmingham or someone that's going to offer him a lot of money. Is he going to be, the main man like he is at Hearts? That's the question I'd be asking myself if I was Lawrence Shankland. Listen, I know it's all about money and whatnot, but he had a really, if you read, between the lines, had a really bad experience in Belgium. Didn't enjoy himself, didn't enjoy his football. He's back at Hearts in Scotland. He's playing every week. He's a captain. We've seen a massive change in him. He could now go to the Euros and lead a real charge for Scotland. So it's just about weighing that up, is it not?
I think he's left it open for himself by not signing the contract, because, like Connor does say, he's on a runner for him. If he hits 30 goals, then he's put himself in a very big short window. And teams know he's only got 12 months left. And if he knows there's 6, 7, 8 teams vying for his contract and he waits till January, he gets a massive sign-on fee to set him and his family up for the rest of his life. I mean, we don't know what Hearts have offered him, but it's going to be nothing compared to what he can get elsewhere. And I know he wants to win stuff, no football, really want to test himself at a higher level. If he went to the Championship or reaches the English Premiership or even abroad, I don't know if he'll go abroad again after the experience he had, but he's going to have to look at it and he'll probably speak with his family and see what they want to do. But setting your family up for life's a big incentive as well, because I don't know what Hearts have offered. But listen, we all want to go to Rangers, and they could probably double his money at Rangers easy. But Lawrence, if he continues just for him, like I said, just as Connor said, he opens up a very big window for himself.
Listen,
See, the
we
thing
know,
is,
listen, hold on a minute. We know what his family are saying. His dad, Jim from Kirky, rings in every Monday night and tells us.
I'm sure he'll be on the morning night as well. No, do you know the thing with the Scotland aspect as well? I think what's going to be interesting before the Euros, we've got a couple of friendly sort of warm-up games, if you will, coming up next month against, Netherlands and Northern Ireland. I think, albeit you'll see chops and changes in that game, I think you'll see a lot about where Stevie Clarke's mentality is with Lawrence Shankland in those games, because for me, he should be starting those games. There's no getting away from it. Listen, Che Adams and the Dykes have done great for us, and they'll be good to have, but there's not another Scottish striker at this moment in time on the kind of form he's on. He is the first name in the team sheet for any manager if he's in their squad.
Okay, listen, we best talk about the opposition. We can't sit here and do another 60 minutes about Lawrence Shankland. I'll get in trouble. Okay. Motherwell themselves, no Blair Spittle on Saturday, and it was kind of evident he seemed to be pulling the strings when we saw that big win against Ross County. They toiled in the cup game at Capello, but we'll draw a line under that per se. But certainly, they just didn't really have any sort of bite in the middle of the park. Lennon Mill was back in. I know he missed a glorious chance that maybe comes down to experience there, but they just look like they were missing something at the weekend.
Motherwell have been like that this season. They produce a couple of decent performances, get a few points, and then they produce a couple of awful performances and get oils under pressure. I think it's just the way their season's panned out, and he's going to have to probably take the summer to reevaluate his squad to think who I can keep to push forward and who I can, but that does all come down to finance. But he had 3 shots, didn't he? And 3 were in target, so it's a 100% success rate, but he just couldn't find the back in the net. Hearts were just a superior team, and Hearts were better on the day. Motherwell probably played worse and maybe got something, but Hearts are just too good for them Saturday, I thought.
Connor, just on Hearts, one player who I wasn't overly impressed with at the start of the season, but I feel like he's coming onto a game is Neuenhoff in the middle of the pitch.
Yeah, I'll unmute myself. I think he's proven to be a key asset for them, Neuenhoff. I think he's starting to really, boss that area of the pitch for me. When you see him, I think, and he's got a good finish in his locker as well. We've seen that last week against Airdrie. That was a cracking goal he scored. I think it's something, I don't know how it's happened, but Stevie Naismith is the luckiest man in the world, because somehow he's contrived to have this squad of real good, solid players at Hearts. Most of which he's inherited, obviously some he's added to, and I think, obviously they've had some injury problems as the seasons went on, but they just seem to keep building, and guys like Neuenhoff are, coming for a point where you're maybe, I don't know, and then he's really proven important for him. You touched on Alan Forrest there as well, another one. And I mean, Vargas, I thought his goal was sublime. I thought it was a brilliant take.
A great turn, isn't it?
A brilliant turn. I think Stephen O'Donnell, you might not want to watch it back because, he was obviously watching Bernabe for how not to defend. Because, he's slightly nudged by Forrest, which is the right thing to do, holds him off and he just sort of collapses at his feet. But on the turn and the hit, just brilliant. No keeper is saving that. And I think when you've got that there, when you know that for all people talk about Shankland, the goals he's scoring because he's just banging them in every week, when they've got good bits of quality in other areas of the park that contribute to that as well, it helps. And that's why, listen, we played them on Saturday and it's going to be a right hard game for us. And obviously we'll discuss all of that during the week and stuff, but I'm not necessarily looking forward to them rolling up because I'm not fearing them, but I know what they're capable of, so we're going to have to be bang at it because they're on fire right now.
Listen, we'll deal with the last game. We'll have a wee chat about Rangers just for 5 minutes before we finish because it's been a big weekend. But okay, then we'll go to the last game on the card on Saturday, which was Dundee v Ross County Care. Scott Tiffany, I know you're a man that likes to celebrate all of Scottish football. Scott Tiffany's come from Partick Thistle. He's probably took a wee bit a time to find his feet at Dens, and now he's in the side and he's got a brace at the weekend.
Yeah, took his goals well, didn't he? Listen, Scott Tiffin was a great player at this way. He was always involved. He was in everything he'd done. He was always in the highlight reel, and he was always catching eye of clubs, but he never seemed to make that move. And obviously, he's got his move to Dundee, and he said he's took time to settle, but now he's been given the chance with Docherty. He seems to have taken it. Listen, Dundee have got a lot of players, good attacking players on that side, and they've had a very good season. They've actually impressed me at times, and they're a lot higher up the table than I thought they would be. But it wasn't as easy a game as the 2-0. I thought Ross County actually played okay, and Simon Murray should have scored, shouldn't he? But no, boy, Carson made a good save.
The header. Aye.
He has to put that away in that it's a different game. But Tiffany took his goals well, and Dundee are hard to break down and hard to beat. We found that out ourselves, and I know he's a touch, and Dockett will be happy with this season so far because like you probably come in thinking it's going to be a relegation battle, but no way. They're happy where they are. I'm not saying they're happy, but he's probably happy where they are just now, and he's just taking a game at a time and see how many points he can build up. But Tiffany's a player, like you said, Robert. He's always been a really good attacking player, and he's starting to show it at Dundee.
Yeah, Connor, Kerr touches on there that County did create some chances. You look first half, especially Eamon Brophy, who's back playing regularly, actually, and partnering Simon Murray now rather than sort of coming in and out. He had a couple of chances, and then obviously Murray is the header. What's not clicking for them up front? Is it simply just the ball going in the back of the net? Is it that simple?
Well, I mean, basically, it certainly is. I mean, I think for whatever reason, because when you look at it, right, and I say this early in the season, on paper, the front three that Ross County actually have got at their disposal for that end of the table is a very, very decent front three. Simon Murray, Eamon Brophy, and Jordan White are not bad options to have as a manager, particularly when you're looking at the teams round about. You look at Livi, are their striking options much better than that? I wouldn't say so. I'd have all three County strikers before I'd have Joe Rubley, for example. Same as St Johnstone, they've got quite a region front line. And you just think, why is it working? And I don't think in the time they've been there that either Malky Mackay or Derek Adams, obviously Don Cowie's just in, so there's not much I can say about him. I don't think they've really figured out how to get the best out of those three as a unit. How do you get them working hard together? Don Cowie's obviously trying the Brophy and Murray partnership, which, to be fair, it's a decent goal for their point of view that they showed at Ibrox during the week when they did link up together and Brophy set up Simon Murray, but they just can't seem to find these goals, and I do think that the balance just isn't quite right amongst the three of them, because, to be honest, I'm not sure any of them know who really is who's the number one striker, who's the main man, who's the target man, who's the man that's right. You're going to be supporting him, so say it's Jordan White, right? Okay, well, Murray and Brophy can come off the sides of him, and they should be helping to provide that service. You just don't know that, so it's just a bit disconnected, because it feels like you say it every week. County had umpteen chances and they just don't take them, and it's the story of the season. But time will tell. As we said earlier, it's a big game for them as well. I mean, I think if they can beat Livi, that'll give them real confidence, because it'll give them that wee bit of breathing space that they'll be desperate for.
Okay, just on that then, because Don Cowie's going into this very inexperienced. You'll have times like that as a player, but it's a different kettle of fish when you're the manager. Davy Martindale's got the edge on him there.
He has, but Cowie's played with the club. He's from that neck of the woods. He's not thinking this long term. He's just thinking that game by game. He's taking, he knows probably his players really well, and he's just trying to take them forward. He doesn't know what the boss telling him. Just take it until we maybe get somebody else in. But can he do really any worse than Derek Adams has done? Honestly, do you know what I mean? So, like Connor said, they get some decent players there. I know Dander's going to make it hard at the end of the season, but he's still a very good player. They've got other guys in the team. I think a goalkeeper at Ibrox all night for the world. I don't know if he'll pull that again, but he seemed a decent keeper. But they should be scoring goals, Robert. That's the thing. They should be putting the ball in the net more with the people they've got up front. I mean, Murray, Brophy and White are all decent goal scorers. They should be getting more from them, but they can turn around and say they're not getting the service. Do you know that way? So I think it's a bit of catch-22. Maybe has to give them better service. And Dander signed a pre-season contract with Hearts. We might not want to get a bad injury, so we just don't know. But I don't think they'll get relegated as in finish bottom, but I think they will be in the playoff position. So, but they should be better than after the players they've got in their squad.
That win for Livi at the weekend certainly puts the cat amongst the pigeons. Connor, I want to come with you on this question because I'm not sure Kerr can answer this next one impartially. So, I don't think he can. I don't think he's capable. Can I use strong links to St Mirren? St Mirren aside, in terms of Tony Docherty and Derek McInnes, could that be a real intense race for fourth? Can Tony Docherty get his side up there and just nip tuck with Derek? Before the season's end.
I think it's an interesting one to see actually when you consider obviously here's two guys who know each other very, very well. It's very much the master against the student.
Which I quite like. I love that. I've loved that in the meetings.
It's a great story for the football romantics out there. That's the kind of stories you like to see. Listen, I think they're capable of doing it. You know, they'll have certainly another game to play against Kilmarnock this season. If they can keep sort of where they are now, then they go within 2 points, and it's just about a couple of drop points here and there. I mean, look, Tony Docherty said in his post-match interview, which I thought he was right with, that it was good yesterday that they got the lead, they held on to it, and they managed to get the win because they've had a number of games this season where they've had 2-goal leads and they've let it slide. One of them, I'm pretty sure, was it against Kilmarnock? So they've had moments where maybe they should have got a couple more points than they did. Was that your Lauren Shanklin poster phone there or something?
It fell off the wall. The wind just came in.
So listen, I think they're capable of pushing them. I really do. I think right now it's difficult to tell. I would say Kilmarnock are obviously still favourites for fourth, but I'd probably just at this moment in time on current form, I'd have Dundee probably as my second favourites, just because I think they're just clicking slightly more than St Mirren. But I'm absolutely confident that the Buddies will be, coming flying back because they go on runs and then they'll end up putting together a good few wins, and all of a sudden it opens it up again. So that's a good battle, really a good battle to watch that.
Listen, good we shift the lads. Let's just a couple of minutes just talk about Rangers. Just at Buffalo Albert's they're asking if someone's just lamped me. No, there's no domestic violence in the house. It was just my mic. It fell over. Shut my notepad and the wind gusted over. It was a wee bit of a mess, but we styled it out. We're all right. Listen, lads, we're top of the league tonight. Glasgow Rangers. It's some feeling. Ken, I want to ask you. Actually, I know you were away last night, but you still had the nerves this morning. We've been in this position before. We've had a chance to capitalise on slip-ups on a Saturday. Talk me how you were feeling this morning. Were you thinking? Were you confident? Were you concerned? You seen the lineup? Talk me through it.
I missed the start of the game because I was coming back from Edinburgh, but I was confident because I think under Clement, you seem confident because he's in charge. Do you know what I mean? He's got a bit of a Walter Smith about him, as in you feel confident because he's in charge of the team. He'll set his team out to tell them to do what they're going to do, what they have to do. And again, and it was halfway through the first half, and Diamonde scored, and then Diamonde scored, and I thought, this is great, jumped about. And then the second half, for some reason, I started getting more nervous. I don't know why, because see, 1-0, anything can happen. And St Johnstone didn't look a threat.
Before, haven't you? That's the trouble.
St Johnstone never looked a threat, but they're getting a few corners constantly, and you're thinking, they've got some big boys there. And then I'm like, do you want to sit down? I was like walking up and down the living room. I just can't sit. I'd rather beat the game. I hate watching it telly. And then we get the penalty and that kind of settled down else. But it's just you don't want an egg back in your face just because I didn't want to say too much yesterday to fault because we've been there before, we've done it, and then it's come back to bite us. But I'm more confident now than I have been, especially since he came in halfway through, like 10 games or 9 games into the season. We were 8 points behind. But it's just something different. The mentality's changed. We're no smug, but we're confident in ourselves. The players are confident in each other. It's a squad for us. There's no like we've got 11 players. If one's missing, we're going to panic. He's playing the full team, and the players are the players respect him, but they respect each other, and you can see the bonds there where that wasn't there before. And they're not panicking like they were before. I know the other night the crowd kind of murmured a bit because we're finding it difficult to break the Ross County keeper down, but that's just coming for the crowd. But I think we're now more confident in the manager and the players. Do you know that way? And I just have to say to Tavernier, I know it was 2 penalties today, but see the abuse he's had over the years, and when he joined us with Wigan for 220k or something, 40k, he's been superb. And listen, we all know his limitations, we all know what he offers, but to score his amount of goals as a right back is phenomenal. I don't care what anybody says, he's been a phenomenal signing, and I just hope he continues it, and I hope at the end of the season we're on the receiving a couple of trophies. But like the manager does say, and I keep saying to you in the private messages, game by game. But I'm confident, but game by game.
Gordon, I want to come at you actually on a point that Kerr made, just on Philip come on and his use of the squad. You look at the substitutions today. Sterling comes on at half time, who I thought had a really good game, by the way. Then we see Dessers and McCausland as well. He really is, and when Cantwell comes off, there's a conversation going on there. We'll never know what gets said, right? But I just have a feeling that he's telling them, you know, you're going to play the next one, kind of thing. We need to get minutes into Tom Lawrence. You know, he looks like he's been really honest with the players.
Absolutely, that's the right approach. He just seems like a right good man management. You know, I think the players understand and know where they'll be him. I think, you know, it's so refreshing as well to have a manager that isn't afraid to make early changes. You know, to go and make a change at half times. Maybe not working. Maybe, you know, change it about here. I think, you know, we Cantwell as well. He was sitting with sort of ice pack on his thigh, I think, because he did have a bit of a collision towards the end of the first half, and that'll be in his thinking as well, because look, players don't want to come off the pitch, but sometimes the manager's got to make the decision that's in the best interest of the team and say, listen, I need to keep you fit for the games coming up. We need to get minutes into other people's legs as well, so there's no point in me risking you here. You can, you know, come off and just make sure everything's fine, and that's the way to be as well. You know, because I think the first half was, you know, I mean, Diamondi, what a goal he scored. I mean, fair play to him. Absolute pearl.
Absolute topper.
Oh, beautiful. And, you know, I was going to take something like that, because I said when I sort of had to, you know, jump in and rescue the build-up, that I thought it was going to be that kind of tight, stuffy game. They were always going to play Levine ball, the deep, fucking low block, and, you know, trying to get round that. It was always going to be difficult and take patience. But we found a way through. And after that, you know, once we got ourselves in front, I never felt all that nervy or worried, because although St Johnstone had a couple of corners and stuff like that, we seemed to deal with them comfortably. You know, there didn't seem to be any real issues or stramashes in the box. Everything just went the way you want it to go. And I think at the end up, you know, we got our just desserts. If you're being ultra critical, probably should have been 4, because Big Cyril should have just buried it instead of trying to skin the goalkeeper. But
a couple of good chances, didn't he, Kerr? I know you sort of bemoaned his finishing, and had it been 0-0, I think would be sort of, there'd be a full podcast on one tonight. But the one where he tries to sort of go round the keeper, I think I don't know if he thought he had more time or what's he doing there.
I think the keeper second guessed him and knew what he was going to do. That's how he can do it. I think he just has to sometimes take an early shot and go down either side the keeper down low. I think the closer he gets, he starts to panic. He isn't composed enough at times. Sometimes he really is, and then other times isn't. That's just a type of striker he is. But I think Clement kind of knows that, and that's why he's using him, using Silver. But we're going to have to get goals for our areas there apart. And like Connor said and yourself, him on the strike was superb, and if that's what he can offer, I'll be happy with that, because about time has some midfielders shooting for outside the box, because we've got abundance of them. Should be shooting. It's just sometimes we try that extra wee pass, extra wee flick. I know Campbell's been guilty at times, but Todd does try to create stuff, especially flicks around the corner. I'd just like to say to you too, I've seen a lot of things on social media about Raskin, right? About maybe he'll leave it in the season, and his time could be over because Diamondi's there. You get Lundstrom, you've got Sterling, blah blah blah. But do you not think this is a good thing for Raskin, because now he's going to have to up his game to get back in the side, instead of maybe thinking, well, I've been signed for all this money, my name's kind of on the team sheet, I've been so fit. I think it's a good thing, because if he doesn't, then he can only blame himself, so he's going to have to up his game.
I caught a couple of glimpses of him on the bench, and I must say, he didn't look like he took the huff. He looked like he was contemplating stuff, like you say. Maybe he is sitting there thinking, I'm going to have to get myself back in here. Sterling coming on the right-hand side was a strange one for me. Obviously, I'm not a football manager, so I don't really know, but the ins and outs, why he done that, but it seemed to work. You're laughing. Are you the same?
Mate, honestly, it feels like you could put fucking Sterling and goals and it would work. He just seems to adapt to whatever.
You name the package shirt called utility, isn't he?
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. He just, whatever he's been asked to do under Clement, he's doing it, and he's enjoying it. Again, even out the other day, done well, showed a great bit of pace to win the penalty because it's his determination to get that first touch on the ball that does it. Albeit, I think Andy Considine is madness to fly in the way he did. I can't really get why.
Should get booked never.
But I just thought, again, brilliant for him, and that should, as you're saying with Nico, that really should, push him forward. He should be looking at going, I've got all this competition for my spot. This guy's just come in, Diamandi, and scored. You've got Sterling who can play in any position that he's asked to play in, and he's doing well. I need to, go and step up my game and make sure I'm still in the manager's thinking, because he's still on the bench, so the manager's still looking at him. I mean, you've got to remember as well, the injury's probably not 100% fit yet, so I don't think there's too much of an issue there. I think he just needs to, keep pushing himself and force his way in, because one thing we come on is he's been changing the team around anyway, game to game, so he could, we're all saying this, he could start on Saturday. You just don't know. That's the way it. But I think, we're kind of, the mentality thing for me is a key thing, because what I've seen the day, we go to Happy League today for the first time in 18 months. And what I've seen for the players at the end of the game was professionalism. The Carlton fans celebrating the win. But we've sat here before, I'm all remember it under Stevie Gerrard and the rest of it, celebrating like we had won the league title the minute we got to Happy League, or it was Celtic Park having an absolute party as if, we were champions, and what you should do is celebrate it. It's great.
I was at Celtic Park that day, and we did the celebrations. For the fans, it was great because you were in that wee small bit. But the players and us celebrated like we'd won the league, and we didn't. We just put a marker down, and the second half we come back for the break and shut the bed, basically.
That's what Clement's put in there. No, the mentality is the next game is the most important game. And listen, as I said, the next two are hard games. Hearts at home, Kelly away. I think they're going to be make or break games. I think if we can get 6 points out of those games, I think we'll be in a right good position. But nobody's getting carried away with it. I think we're just, loving it, enjoying it for what it is. It was the third time in a week we went into a game going, we could go tap here, except the day all we needed to do was win. The irony being we actually won 3-0 today, which is what we needed to do on Wednesday. But no, I just think all over, you've got to be delighted with what we've produced there, but without question.
Okay, excellent, lads. Thanks very much for your time. Then everyone who's joined in the comments as well, don't forget, like and subscribe. I need to remember to mention the podcast sponsors, because I got in trouble for not doing it last week. So it is NordVPN. Link in the description for, I think, 66% off, still on the cards, and the football prizes as well. There's some great stuff to be won there. Top signed by legends and instant prizes and all sorts. So do get involved there with our raffle ticket and see what you can get your hands on. But thanks very much tonight to Connor and Kerr. We are back tomorrow night with all your Rangers content with the Monday night phone-in. I'll be in the hot seat, looking forward to that one. So join us if you can. But if you're enjoying yourself still tonight, drink responsibly and get to your work in the morning. And we'll see you again tomorrow night, 7:30. Cheers.